Hello USC, I'm Mercy Myers with SGTV News 4, and I'm here with student government presidential candidate Kathryn Stoudemire to tell us a little bit about her platform and why she's hoping that you'll vote for her in this election this year. Kathryn, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Mercy.
So guys, we're just going to walk around the horseshoe and I'm going to ask Kathryn some questions about herself and about her platform. So hopefully y'all will vote for her, right?
Ideally.
All right, so first, Kathryn, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I grew up in Walhalla, South Carolina, and honestly, no one can really point it out on a map. I have a little sister who decided to go to Clemson because she's an art major, and so she's kind of been disowned for the next 4 years, but it's okay. And I'm trying to think of, in my free time, my roommates always crack me up because when I'm stressed, I tend to bake and I clean. So they like it because I make for a decent roommate, and so they tell me they like me more when I'm stressed. So I've been baking a lot of cookies. This morning I made banana bread. Got a KitchenAid mixer for Christmas. It's been a really good, yeah.
Okay. All right, so what year are you?
I'm a junior.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm a junior, and I'm a journalism and poli-sci major.
Cool. And what has been some of your involvement on campus before now?
Well, the first thing I did when I came was I went through sorority recruitment.
Okay.
And so, I'm falling. I specifically wore my wedges to try and not fall, but it's fine.
It's fine.
So the first thing I did was I went through sorority recruitment, and I joined Delta Zeta, and they sat me down. I applied to be a historian, and so I thought I was just going to be taking pictures. And then they sat me down, and they were like, "We would love for you to be our creative media and technology chair." And I was like, "Okay." And so I made the recruitment video, and I think that's how I got into being a broadcast major, is because I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then I was their PR chair, and then a sister of mine is actually who got me involved in student government, where I did the communications team, and I ran the Momentum campaign last year, and I'm now Ross's chief of staff. So it's kind of my student government involvement too.
So that's kind of how you got started in student government, and now you're going on your own.
I know.
And your campaign is Ignite.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes. So I think a lot of what I realized was there have been, in the past couple of years, the most people who are involved in student government have tended to just kind of be there to put a line on their resume.
Yeah.
And a lot of my thing has been reigniting kind of that passion. Why are we doing this? And what is this about? And so it's kind of setting a fire under people and getting them excited and getting them energized and ready to do things. Is kind of where Ignite came from.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so the first thing I'd like to talk about is things that you want to do right now at UofSC.
Okay, so I think one of the biggest things is everyone always talks about Williams-Brice and the fact that water is $4, which I think we can all agree is absolutely absurd. And so we've gotten it down to $1 water after halftime. But I was talking to Chase, who's running to be my VP, and we were like, why? We have Bojangles, who's a huge sponsor. Why are we not talking to them to try and get 10,000 more cups on game day? You put them at a specific concession stand at Williams-Brice, and students can get a cup of water. And then you don't have students passing out. You're a lot more well hydrated. And so I think that's, and so that's one of the biggest things kind of in the present, and then continuing on a lot of things that this administration has done and expanding upon it. I've worked really closely with Digital Carolina cards this year, so they're kind of my baby. And so
how is that coming along?
It's coming really well. We've been dealing with a lot of issues because a weird thing is that a lot of the university is on a different platform than the other. Housing is on a different thing than dining is.
Okay.
And so we're trying to get that all on one thing. So hopefully, if elected by the end of the term, we can get into residence halls with a digital card.
Wow.
Which I think would just be so cool.
That would be very cool, very cool. And what's the state of the new student union?
Oh my goodness, I love talking about that. So this past semester, Ross and I went and toured NC State and a lot of other student unions in North Carolina to kind of see what we're missing. And I think that's the biggest thing that I realized is that Russell House at this point isn't really a student union. It's pretty much a dining hall because you have the SGTV offices and you have the student gov offices, but other than student media and student gov, you really don't have a ton of student interaction. And so I think going on that really kind of showed me what a student union should be and what it should
Yeah.
have. And
More versatile.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we reviewed applications, and we just made our student union steering committee.
Oh my goodness.
And they met this past Friday, and they are so excited and so energized.
Mhm.
And I'm pumped because this upcoming Wednesday and Thursday, WTW is coming to campus. And so they're the architecture firm that we've hired to kind of do a programming study.
So it's
on
really in
student
the works
union.
now.
Yeah, so it's really in the works.
Wow.
And so I think that what I would want to do is just kind of, even though it's pretty set right now,
Mhm.
it's, if you even have 1 year where you slack off on advocating for it, then it's going to go
Yeah.
to the back
Yeah.
burner again, like just the way that universities work. And so I think that's why it's so important to keep going with it.
Wow. Well, I admire that very much. And I think
Great.
we need a new one too.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
And so what are some things that you've been planning or thinking about implementing for the future that might
Yeah.
not get done while you're here?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I realized, so I was sitting in a marketing class last semester, and there's like 300 people in my marketing class, and it's in Darla at 8:05 in the morning, which is a whole different topic. And it was exam day, and we had half of our class missing because they got stuck like behind a railroad. Like this train was just stopped, and they couldn't get to class, and like they're literally missing an exam because of this train. And so I thought about, I was like, well, if we had a pedestrian bridge, like how much would that benefit our students? Because you have Park Place and Green Crossing and all of these apartment complexes, the students walk to class and they're getting stuck behind these trains.
Yeah.
And so I think that just adding a pedestrian bridge there would be something that I would really want to look towards for the future. And I have sat down with some administrators and talked about like the actual feasibility of that, because that's kind of the first thing people ask. They're like, oh, like that's a great idea, but like, is it actually going to happen?
Okay, and what did they say?
It's been something that they've talked about before,
Okay.
but it's never gotten a push. And they said, you know, we'd love to see students kind of pushing for it again.
Yeah.
They said it's something that the state, like it'd be working with the state to kind of deal with the funding process, but I think that it's, like it could happen, and I think that next year would be a really good year to kind of push that.
Good. I mean, if it's something that students need. Yep.
Right?
Why not?
I'm like, there's so much of our student population, especially since campus is moving that way already. And then if we do the student union in the Coliseum, we're just shooting that direction. Like, people need to get to class.
Yep.
And they need to get to class safely and not try and jump over trains.
Also, speaking of getting to class, what about parking?
It's horrible. It's absolutely terrible.
What are some of your ideas to fix it?
The biggest thing with parking is that it's really difficult because you can't use any state funding for parking. So the second you decide to talk about parking, you're talking about student fees. And I think we have to look at what we're charging our students for right now. And so right now you have the Greek students that are paying for the Greek parking garage.
Okay.
And so that fee's getting really, really high. Like I've had some sorority sisters who had to drop because they can't pay for it on top of their dues. And so I think that's definitely something I would continue to bring up to the Board of Trustees, is we need consistency in this fee. And more importantly, we need to see the parking structure. We haven't seen it yet. Like I don't know where it is, but
that's crazy.
So that's going to be really important. But parking in general is just really difficult. I know right now we've talked about a bike share program that would hopefully lower the number of students driving to campus and start biking, because the city is looking at implementing one, and so we would work in combination with them. But parking is always going to be a problem. But the good thing is that I know it doesn't seem like a light at the end of the tunnel, but if you look at a lot of other SEC schools, our parking is kind of leaps and bounds above them.
Wow.
Which I think is super surprising.
Yeah.
And so, because, I mean, students are walking pretty far to get to campus, but we're not walking 3 miles.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really important to also remember.
It is. And for tradition, let's talk about what you want to do, talking about SEC schools, you know, how do you want USC to have more of a, you know, bigger name? Yeah,
we've started a lot of these awesome programs, and we need to make them traditions. They need to be something that when students come to tour the university, that their ambassadors talk about, like Cockstock and It's on Us to End Sexual Assault on College Campuses, and the You Matter Mental Health Initiative. Those should kind of be concreted in our culture to where it's something that you just know is going to happen when you come to campus. And also, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, my favorite part of the platform is Heyday. So I don't know if you've
Which
heard about
is?
Hay Day. Yeah. So the University of Auburn does Hay Day, and it's you set up stations around campus where you can put a name tag on, and you just introduce yourself to people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's the entire premise of the day is saying hey to someone who you might not have
Wow.
met. Like it's really just the coolest thing, and I've watched countless YouTube videos on it, like done a ton of research on it, and I think that it would be, especially with kind of the tensions that we're seeing on campus right now, I think that it would be a really, really good thing for students to just kind of know you're welcome here, we're
Yep.
excited to have you, like, hey.
Hey, yeah,
Hey.
oh, that's awesome. So
yeah.
we're wrapping up here. If you could say something to the student bodies, what would you say?
I think my biggest thing is I would love to represent you. I have been really passionate about this. I'm excited to be running. And I think most importantly, I just ask that you're an informed voter. Research everyone's platform points. See what you like, see what you agree with, and feel free to reach out to me if there's something that you see on campus that you don't like. Like, I'd love to work with you and kind of work to fix it. And so I ask for your vote on February 27th and 28th.
Thank you, Kathryn, so much.
Thanks, Mercy.
Guys, make sure to go to the Student Government Presidential Debate on
Yes.
Tuesday night, February 20th, and also catch Monday Night Mashup. It'll be live at 7:30 p.m. and Kathryn will be on the show. So thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.